All right, so there's a new show. Well, not really a new show, but there's a show that is kind of new to us. We've watched it a couple of times and thought, hey, it's in our wheelhouse. It's family, it's relationships. Family or Fiance is back, and we're reviewing it. All right, so welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin,
I'm Tarsha.
and this is Conversations with the Crawleys. We are long-term married, over 25 years. We're pastors. I'm an author. We're entrepreneurs. And we have conversations about faith, family, relationships, all that type of stuff. So if this is content that you enjoy, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe, hit the like, request notifications,
And share.
and we'll see you in the comments. This one is dedicated to, I guess it's back from a hiatus of Family or Fiance, the latest episode. So let's see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in this one, we've got Shanika and Justin, who are engaged.
Correct. They've been together 3 years, engaged for 1 year.
Well, they've been getting together for 2 years and engaged for 1 year because they made that mistake because he was saying that they were engaged for 2 years and she was like, nope, we'd only been engaged 1 year, together for two.
Oh, I thought we were putting. I thought it was okay. I really
Yeah,
got
they're not putting it all
confused.
together. It's okay.
I thought it was they were 3 years
There is a
together.
lot going on with this couple right
Okay.
now to be confused about. We'll talk about it. So they met because she was traveling. She got lost, asked directions of a police officer, I guess, like what she saw, asked for the number.
Because he was the police officer.
Right. And he was like, okay, here's the non-emergency number.
Like, I'm not interested, chick.
So
But she was persistent.
she was persistent, evidently, because they're together. And she says she can be completely herself with him.
Okay.
Keep that same energy. But her relationship with her family is broken. So they meet with Terry, and they're telling her that they're going to get married in about 80 days. So less than 3 months,
Right.
they're getting married.
Right.
So they're talking with her and, kind of talking through what the issues are. And she says she's having issues with her family. They are not invited to the wedding, especially her brother is not invited. Something about her family wanted them to pay for 19 people to come from New Jersey to Alabama. And then at the bridal or the engagement party, her family didn't interact with his family.
Yeah, we know there's more to the
There's a
story.
lot more to this story.
This is your side, their side, and the
And then there's
truth.
the truth that we're about to get into. So for her mother, brother, and aunt are coming. We find out that her father has passed away,
Right.
right? Um, his mom, on his side, his mother does know that her family is not coming to the wedding. Is kind of shocked by that, but no one else on his side of the family knows because he's like, it's not my place to tell them.
I think he seems very an introvert
Hmm.
and
Passive.
just very passive.
Hmm.
Like whatever happens in life, I just take it as it comes.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. So his mom, his sister, and his best man Chris are coming to ideally give their blessing on the pending nuptials, right?
correct.
So Tracy, is her name Tracy, right?
Yes, the
Yeah.
life coach.
Yeah, life coach Tracy. So she gives Shanika her family, or when she meets with his family, is going to play a game called Tower of Truth, and Justin is going to play a game called Dicey Questions, which really is just they're asking questions. It's just kind of how do those questions get asked is the game.
And it's random. So
Right.
it's not like he's feeling
Out of questionnaire.
well or ganged up on.
Yeah.
So it keeps it where the stress is off of him
Hmm.
and it's random. So he doesn't know who's actually asked the question.
Right.
So I think that's just a healthy way to be able to share and to get questions asked from the families. So
So we'll see. But she says if her family is not on board, she's essentially going to have to divorce her family.
that she's deciding
That to
that she
choose Justin.
over her family.
Right.
And Justin is making the same kind of comments.
Right.
So we'll see as it goes along.
And I mean, I think there's value in doing that if everything is on board, right? If everything's on the up and up and your family's just not with a person, not feeling a person, I'm completely okay if you're in love with that person. Sometimes your family is the one that you gotta let go by the wayside, right? But where we are, what?
You're saying, right?
I am saying right, right? All right. So
I'm sorry. It's just something I
inside
was
joke,
wondering.
though. It's okay. So then her family arrives first, and mom's like, "Hey," auntie's like, "Hey," brother's like,
I'm here. I
let,
will shake his
he's
hand.
like, "Where's the cocktails at? Because I need something right now."
I
Because
need a drink.
he's like, "I need a drink badly," and he's overwhelmed because he's not seen her in 11 months, and he's not ready to speak.
And obviously, he's holding in a lot of different things that still's not resolved for him.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, as we don't still have only heard one side at this point, he feels like somebody needs to just put her on the front line.
Right.
Like, get the truth out of her.
Right.
And let's end this.
Because he's like, "Look, there's lies happening." Right.
Correct.
So his family then arrives and again brings up that Shanika's family was reclusive at the engagement party. And the mom is like, she keeps calling her family weird, and the mom is like, "I don't understand that. I need to see this will give an opportunity to see why Shanika keeps saying her family is weird." So then they have the family meeting, which is both sides of the family and the couple kind of getting the concerns out as far as each side of the family, what they have as far as concerns.
Mm-hmm.
So Shanika's mom is saying that she does not want her to keep secrets from Justin
Mm-hmm.
and wants her to reconcile with her brother.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty straightforward, right? The aunt says, "I want you to be transparent to Justin and the baby issue."
Dun dun dun, baby.
Now, we're like 15, 20 minutes into the show.
Right.
Nothing's been said about a baby.
Correct.
And Auntie's like, "Oh, and the baby's name is Brooklyn."
And we're like, okay.
So, okay. Tony is like, "Look, I'm just concerned for my man Justin because my sister Shanika has a very hard time telling the truth and she lies a lot." So at that, Justin's mom starts tearing up because she's like, "I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening with my son and this woman that he says he loves."
Yeah, I would feel that way too. Is you're hearing that your soon-to-be daughter-in-law is not even honest with her own family.
Yeah.
How do I know she's being honest with me
Right.
and telling me the truth? And then you're gonna marry my son, and my son, he's passive anyway.
Right.
So are you manipulating this whole situation for your benefit and not for my son's?
Yeah. So now Justin's mom or side kind of gives their concerns, and the overwhelming theme from the mom, the sister, and the best man is y'all communication stinks.
No one's communicating. No one's talking to each other.
And Justin, you got to stand your ground because the mom and sister were both like, you need to be a little more assertive and stand your ground. So they break off. Justin goes with her family. And so one of the questions they ask is about basically with the whole engagement party.
Right. Were you aware that she told us if the family could get to New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
then you guys were gonna rent these sprinters
With vans, right?
vans for the family to come down,
Mm-hmm.
and then make sure there's a house like an Airbnb for them to stay in
Right.
for the engagement party.
Yep.
And he said, yes, but things fell through on our end. But the brother was like, but the problem was no one communicated.
Nobody said anything. So their expectations.
My expectations, like, well, I set enough side of money to get here. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trusting you
Mm-hmm.
that you're planning the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to pay all this money for children and everything to come to you.
Yep.
And then you didn't keep your side, or at least communicate, hey, something
Something's changed.
happened, or tell me how much you do have. See what I have, we can put our money together.
Right.
Because I didn't have to come. Zoom me in. Look, Zoom is my best friend.
Because if you're inviting me there and you're telling me that all these things are set up for me, if it was my decision and because you wanted me there, right? You asked us to be there,
Right.
and you said you were providing these things for us to be there. If you didn't have the opportunity or ability to provide them, understandable. I get
Correct.
that, right? The economy is a crazy thing, so I get that you can't provide that, but let somebody know because then I can make a decision. Oh, you can't provide that. My budget's not going to allow for me to do all of that either. So therefore, like you said, I'll zoom in, I'll see the pictures on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever it might be, and we'll be good. But to not tell anybody until you get there, that's a problem.
Or even maybe they wouldn't have brought the kids because it sounds like they had children
Right.
and they were bringing the children with them so
Mm-hmm.
that everyone could be together. Or you could have came to them
Mm-hmm.
and said, well, we'll have two engagement parties. Since we're here, his family's here, we'll have an engagement party.
Right.
And then we'll come to you or have like a family dinner or
Mm-hmm.
something so you can meet him that we're
Yep.
engaged. If that's what you want to do. But when you start messing with people money, I know why they're being funny.
Yeah. Because, I mean, for example, for our wedding, we were both away from our family. We were in a completely different state than either of us are from.
Exactly.
And so but we were also graduating from college, from Bible school at the time, right?
Right.
And so we made it so that if you were coming to celebrate the graduation with us, you were getting a 2-for-1. We were graduating on Friday. That Saturday we were getting married. If you weren't coming, you weren't coming. We were good either way. We were gonna keep doing what we did.
It was a two for.
Right.
You got to see my graduation and you got to be a part of the wedding. And we made it that way. So it's just easier for everyone.
Right.
Instead of planning a graduation, then turn around and doing something in either one city. I felt like it kept it fair.
It kept it
Too.
balanced, right? Because
Yeah.
if we're honest, there are people that probably, if we were back home in our respective places, we probably would have had at the weddings. Absolutely. But that wasn't our portion. That wasn't what we were going to do, and nobody's crying over it. And at this point, we married still, so it's good. All right.
Okay.
So then,
That's what you got out of all of that. We married
yep,
still.
it,
It worked.
yep, it worked out. All right. But then the aunt is like, so what do you know about this baby? Brooklyn is her name. And so the aunt starts telling the story basically about how, they were told that Shanika was pregnant. Shanika is on Instagram and on Facebook showing
Month after month.
baby bump pictures and month after month, and then calling family saying she in labor, and then taking pictures at the hospital and actually has a picture of a baby.
That's a lot. At this time, I'm pretty done. Like, what in the world is going on? And it was just so much.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin is indicating, he says, I was told she had an abortion. I wasn't aware that there was this elaborate
Scheme.
lie
Mm-hmm.
against you guys. And so he's like, I don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And they're asking him, like, what are you feeling right now? He's like, I might need to talk to her. He's like, no, we're not talking
Right.
to anybody. I'm trying to get your genuine feeling. And he's like, that will bring a red flag.
Yeah, because again, if you can lie that good, that well, and that elaborate, and create a life from thin air, right? I'd be a little concerned. Yeah. So, because the auntie was like, look, most of the family still thinks the baby is alive somewhere. They want to know where the baby is.
Because what if a family member decides, like, I think she may have done something to the baby and try to call the police on her. That's how severe the lie is.
Because there's pictures to say this is what you presented as your baby. So where is this baby that you presented as being yours?
And if you're not having it, and I was a concerned family member, I might make an anonymous call.
Yep.
If that's to the Department of Health that helps the children's or protection,
Mm-hmm.
because I was notified there was a child.
Yep.
Then you said you was going to bring the child to a family gathering.
Yep.
And you show up with no baby.
Yeah.
So, we see there is some type of mental
There's some
breakdown
things going on
there
there.
that needs to be addressed.
There's a living in fantasy land in some respects, because on her side, when she's meeting with his family, they ask about communication, and she says, "Oh yeah, I overshare. In fact, I tell too much." To who? Because, well, yeah, you do tell too much because you make up stuff to tell people. So yeah, you are telling too much.
And the mother asks, Justin mother asks, have you ever lied to me? Not sure. Or some kind of like, I don't
There
think
was
I have.
right,
And she's like, that's not the answer I'm looking for.
right.
Because if you can't even remember if you lied to me, you should have said no now to my family because of what her background is. But to you,
Hmm.
it should have been a no, but
Yeah.
it wasn't.
So she does, at least with his family, say that she did have a pregnancy with her ex, that she terminated early, but she acknowledges that she continued to tell that she was having the baby to her family. So, so then they get to family dinner, and Tony asks Justin if Justin understands why I'm responding and acting the way that I do, right? Because to say, for her to just say, well, my family's weird without the context of all of this other information,
Correct.
yeah, I'd be looking at Tony a little suspicious too. But now with all this information coming out, Tony, I see what you're talking about, bruh. I get it. Um, so, and Shanika, again, she says that she talks well with people that she needs to talk to. And that she says she told the truth to Justin and lied to her family. And it's like, yeah, it was a 9-month elaborate scheme. And Tony's like, nah, sis, it was much more than 9 months. You telling folks, like you said earlier, you bringing the baby to a birthday dinner for my wife and all this stuff. That's more than just 9 months.
He's like, this went on for like 14 months.
Yeah.
And he gets up because he's just so frustrated and
Mhm.
upset. And the mother tries to charm in.
Right.
Shanika's mother tries to charm in and say, well, just allow her. And he's like, I'm tired of you trying to cover up for her. I really want this to be resolved.
Hmm.
And she's still lying about everything and why nobody sees it. She's like, I gotta take my plate. Look, he didn't leave. He took his
He's
plate
like, I
with
still
him.
want this spaghetti, so I'm gonna go get over in here in the other part of the kitchen and eat it.
He said,
Y'all can stay in the dining room.
eat.
I'm gonna sit here at this
He's like,
this counter right here, and I'm gonna eat my spaghetti. So then the next morning, Justin's mom is talking to him, and she's like, "This is like a Lifetime movie."
she's like, what did I sign up for? Do I need to check under my bed? Do I need to lock the door? What do you have going on?
And she makes the accurate diagnosis in some respects. She's like, did some trauma cause her to have some kind of mental issue, some other things going on? And she tells him, don't put yourself in a position to be taken advantage of.
Correct.
So, so then it's day 2 check in. So they meet with Terry, and Shanika says that it was uncomfortable meeting her or seeing her brother for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, and in that statement, because even just to kind of piggyback on something she said,
mhm.
because when her family did arrive and she told her family, like, we've already been in the first session. And they were like, oh, wow, you're already in the first session. Yeah. And I shared, what we didn't like about y'all.
Yeah.
I was like, you're taking shots, but you're the major cause of what the problem is.
Right. Right. And so basically there was a statement, I forget exactly how it was put, but basically about how she didn't feel how her past had to do with Justin. And Terry's like, but you can't separate your present self from who you were. Those things play into each other. And she's like, well, she's concerned. Shanika's like, well, what would he do with the information? And Terry was like, leave you, be out, ghost, gone, adios, sayonara.
Pretty much. I was like, oh, okay. So Tracy is not pulling any punches.
Terry.
Or Terry.
Where's the Tracy at? Yes, Terry.
It's Terry.
Terry McMillan, yes.
Okay. I was like, Terry's not pulling any punches here. And she's being very direct because, especially for her, she's lived in this fantasy of being someone else. So she has to say, this is the reason why. Since you can't understand it, let me tell you. And explains the same thing to Justin, pretty much.
Yeah. So Justin basically says that, he has some questions about her now. Yeah.
It's hard to tell because his expressions doesn't change at all.
I'm concerned about him being himself as well.
Yes.
I'm concerned about him being his authentic self, regardless of how she responds or what she does, right? Because if he's afraid to say that he's concerned or he has issues or he doesn't like, is she going to leave? Well, it's possible. So at the end of the day, are you missing out on anything if you can't get her authentic self? So, but she talks about how she did not, she just kept digging this hole and she didn't know how to get out of the hole. She didn't know how to stop digging. And says it is mostly about her dad. So we start to get some clues as to the trauma that was happening that caused her to be this way. And Terry asks an important question. She's like, so if it's about choosing your dad and the memory of your dad that you're holding, which may not be all the way factual, if it's that versus you, which one would you choose? And Shanika's like, I don't know. And then Terry's like, well, you done already lost yourself. So what are you doing here? So then she asked for Tony to come in. Because it's like, okay, let's dig a little deeper before we can really deal with Justin and Shanika. This is an issue also that needs to be dealt with. This is a root issue.
And Terry's trying to get to the point like, okay, you guys have to come to consensus. Your dad is not here anymore.
Right.
And you guys have to continue to love one another. So how can we resolve this?
Yeah. So Tony basically goes back to high school. He's like, look, it used to be we were best friends. They got into high school, kind of ran with the same circle. But then he says that Shanika started catfishing his friends. And so catfishing, you're creating fake profiles and, trying to meet people over online, whatever. And so he's like, these are my friends. And you're my sister.
And I'm trying to defend you.
But you're not giving me anything to work with. So, and she jumps to Tony is like, well, why haven't you talked to me about it? And Terry's like, no, that's the wrong response. The right response would have been, I'm sorry. It happened. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was impacting you the way it did. So then Shanika is excused so that she can talk to Tony.
Well, remember, she indicates at this moment, she ain't sorry. She said,
That's
I
right.
can't say that.
Yeah.
Because I ain't sorry for nothing I did in high school. And just straight face.
Yeah.
And Tony's
which is a little scary in that respect too. That's
right.
A little frightening.
Or even the acknowledgement, like I was saying.
In hindsight, that might not have been the best thing.
Or I didn't know it was affecting you because you were trying to protect me, and in protecting me, you lost something.
Right. So then when Terry is talking to Tony, she identifies that the family dynamic is one that no one ever really deals with the truth, and then you've got to defend the person even when they're wrong. And we saw that with the mother doing that with Shanika. Shanika's clearly wrong for telling a story about having a child and carrying that story for 14 months, but she was still trying to defend her. So yeah, that's the family dynamic. That's the family cycle. That's the family dysfunction.
And she was getting through to him,
Mm-hmm.
Terry, by saying, I hear you.
Yes.
I validate what you're saying is true. You are not crazy.
Yeah.
What you're seeing, what you've experienced,
Mm-hmm.
you are not crazy. She's, and she gave like good example, like being a fire alarm
Mm-hmm.
and saying, hey,
No
there's
one's
a
paying attention.
fire
Mm-hmm.
and no one's paying attention. And you're like, the house is on fire.
Right.
And he was like, I really appreciate you saying that,
Yeah.
because sometimes people just need to feel validated.
And I mean, think about it. If you almost start to question your own sanity. If you're seeing something that is just completely wrong, completely out of whack, completely dysfunctional, and you're saying, "Hey, this don't look right," and everybody's just going on, you might begin to question, am I wrong? Am I off?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it was good for him to get the validation that you're not wrong. You are seeing the issues, and thank you for trying to call them out and correct them. That's important.
That's important.
So then they go back to the house and they are all meeting, and Shanika basically says that the catfishing was a cry for help because she didn't want to be herself. She's like, the personalities I created were having more fun than I was, and so we
She
never,
was saying how sad she was. She felt sad on the
yeah, and
inside.
she didn't know why she was always sad. So it sounds as if the father was pretty overbearing, very rigid, had his own ideas of what his kids would do in life and how they would be, their identity, all of that. And so I definitely understand how that can cause some of this, right?
Oh, definitely
I
so.
definitely get how,
They could respond differently to
yes,
that.
because and the thing is that they both responded in different ways to the same issue. But rather than coming together and saying, that's kind of messed up what we're experiencing, let's help each other through it. They were like, I'm going to handle it my way. I'm going to handle it this way. And not recognize that this is the root cause of why they're responding the way they're responding.
Yep.
So, but Tony did say that he understands her more now. And so they hug and reconcile. So now we get to the blessing ceremony. Well, they do have their final session, right? Shanika says that she has a level of respect and clarity. And Justin is always trying to fix stuff by himself. So now they have the blessing ceremony.
Correct.
Right? So they go around kind of again, just as everybody kind of gave their concerns, they reiterate their concerns. Chris is like, I'm going to give my blessing. I see your communication efforts. His mom is like, they're willing to do the work. She's giving her blessing. Sis is like, y'all talking, y'all willing to work. Blessing. On her side, mom wanted Justin to understand her better, and so she reconciles. And Tony and the sister reconcile. She gives her blessing. The aunt gives her blessing because she was concerned about transparency, and yeah, everything was transparent. Tony's like, okay, I learned more about you. I'm gonna give my blessing. We're sitting there like, nah, bruh, y'all still gotta have, because again,
I feel like they should have waited and have like another year to say, let's go to counseling, counseling together, couples counseling and individual counseling. Because when you start putting yourself as another person
yeah,
and become an identity online for the world and make such elaborate lies, I don't even know if I could. What happens if you feel like I couldn't take something you need to share with me and you create this lie that spins out? And I'm a police officer. And so your actions could affect you. And if you couldn't recognize that with your brother,
could affect his job.
it could affect his job, right? And so if you can't even come or have self-awareness for your brother, your flesh and blood,
yeah,
how much more would you have for me in realizing what you done was wrong?
yeah, because she's not shown any remorse for the things that she's done.
No.
She's acknowledged the reasons why,
Correct.
but she's not given any remorse. So that's some behavior that for me in a marriage is going to cause problems, because you're going to have issues back and forth, right? There are going to be things that happen between the two of you that are going to be disappointing, right? As far as how maybe I respond or you respond. But if you're not showing remorse, because when we've had disagreements, we've had issues between us, we've come back, even in the heat of it, if there was something that we're like, no, I'm pretty adamant about, but then afterwards we're like, you know what, I was wrong for saying this, I was wrong for doing that, I was wrong. There's remorse that we've shown for those things, right?
Correct.
But if you're entering this relationship and you haven't shown remorse for the stuff that you've done, even back in high school, I'm concerned about, yes, you moving forward into this relationship, not knowing how to show remorse for things that you've done within the marriage.
Exactly.
So the mom, his mom says, I'd rather bless than curse it because they're going to get married anyway. So I get what mom is saying.
I get what mom is saying, but I would say, I would rather say
I support.
I can't say I support. I would just say I would like for you guys to think about doing another year of counseling. What's the rush?
Yeah.
Because I think they were living together, right?
Right.
I was like, what's the rush to wait one more year, go to counseling to make sure everything is just even better
Right.
for your relationship. Again, you could say, well, they could get married and still do counseling. But the question is, if I'm a better person of myself, do I still need this person? And if I'm a better version of myself and then I still feel like this person is for me because I'm a better version of me, then I'd rather do it then or break up, because now that the better version of me is saying that, you know what, I was in this relationship because I was toxic. I was in this relationship because I had all this fantasy and you're my hero, whatever that may be, then it could change the dynamics.
Right. Well, because we say it all the time. A whole person marrying a whole person makes a whole marriage. A half a person marrying a half a person makes half a marriage. So they both are not whole. Her more so than him. She's not a whole person right now because there's still some wounds, some traumas that she's got to deal with. So our experience, just as pastors, as premarital counselors, it would not be wise, I don't think, to do this at this time. But
not because of and I would say because of the extent of what she decides to do in the face of having to face consequences for her actions, because she says that.
She says she I forgot where it was, but yeah, she says she knows there are consequences, but she does not want to face them or to have them.
Right. So even in your awareness that you are causing more consequences by continuing down this thing, in your head you're thinking that you're stopping from it ever happening.
Yep.
But it doesn't. It comes up. And Terry says that, aren't you tired of trying to be somebody else when you lay down? That has to be exhausting.
And having to keep things straight
in your head
about who you told what to.
Lord have mercy.
Her mom does say that she gave the blessing only because Justin did say that they are going to therapy.
Correct.
Okay. So in the epilogue, they are continuing to communicate more. Justin says he trusts her completely. They got married, had a small wedding, but she did not invite her brother Tony.
That's unfortunate.
Yep. So that's it for this one. Let us know what you think. Again, we're picking this show up. This is now one of the shows that we'll review. And definitely check out the other shows that we review and other videos that we have. We'll see you all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed. Oh, I don't get a bye.